I didn't see the way. You can still ask him, I guess. I don't. Yeah. So we live now?
Yeah.
Oh, good deal. Okay. Well, thank y'all for coming. Obviously, we just got out of session. We're here, second day. We've got committees starting today. Mine will start at 1 o'clock. So many of y'all just experienced the floor session. Not a whole lot of exciting stuff, just kind of regular run-of-the-mill Democrats complaining about anything and everything that we do. That's normal behavior in the House. They're not satisfied with anything no matter what we do. So, with that being said, yesterday, and I talked a little bit on the radio about this, we implemented a new rules package. Before this, we had two options to discipline a member. You could either be censured or you could be expelled. Those were the only two options. So with the new rules package, what we did was if you commit a first offense, you'll lose your speaking privileges. It's either for the day, I think it's for the remainder of the day. The second offense is for 3 days, and the third offense is for the remainder of the session. So if you cause a material disruption, like bringing a bullhorn on the floor, like screaming and hooping and hollering and throwing stuff at people and, doing just the general run-of-the-mill regular activities for Democrats, you will lose your privileges, and then that would stack per every offense. Now, according to them, that was us silencing their voice and the voices of their district. I don't know about y'all, but when you bring a bullhorn to the floor and you disrupt the entire House in our proceedings, you're not silencing one member, you're silencing the entire state from conducting business. Obviously, I'm not okay with that. I don't think any of my colleagues are okay with that. So we had to implement another couple layers of discipline. I'm not really sure why that would be an issue. If you conduct yourself in the proper way with proper decorum and you are nice and cordial to other people, you won't have a problem. But as all of y'all know, and I'm preaching to the choir here, shout out David Morgan, it's really not that hard to do. I mean, it's really not hard to be nice to people. But unfortunately, the playbook of the left is to disrupt and cause an outroar and this, that, and the other because they don't have any votes. Their legislation's not going to pass. Their leftist agenda is not acceptable in the state of Tennessee, and we're going to keep it that way. That's right. So, with that being said, we kind of had to tweak the House rules a little bit. We got that through yesterday after rigorous comments from the Democrats. So, today we will have our committees, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to hear, I've heard a whole bunch of information. I don't know how many bills we're going to hear, but they will be open. And I'm excited to be on Civil Sub yet again. That should be where a bulk of your mental health things come from. Your justice things come from. Clay Doggett chairs the criminal justice subcommittee. He's going to be going at 3, so he'll get a large chunk of those as well. So we should have a pretty good day lined up. I'm excited. If we got to be here, then I'm ready to do the work of the people. So, y'all got any questions for me? Yes, sir.
What was the red flag law situation? I didn't hear anything about it, but I obviously don't know the rules and how it works and everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you explain what the progression of that is?
Yeah. So the original bill before special session was called was brought kind of in the umpteenth hour of the previous session that we were in that started in January. The governor's office brought us a bill that was just completely unacceptable, obviously, to all the House Republicans. Didn't make it anywhere. We didn't vote on it, yada, yada, turned it down, this, that, whatever. So there were some conversations about a red flag law, kind of on social media and everywhere else. We made that clear we were not for that. I would never support that. The caucus made that clear. That was, very, very, very clear from us. So the governor made the call for the special session, and it limited the scope to certain things that obviously would not include that. So no type of red flag law that I know of, and I've looked through several of them, will be carried or looked at. Now, the Democrats are going to bring a bunch of bills that are going to be just ignorant, but you're not going to have to worry about that either. Because they're going to have to. The governor's not directly. No. In the 18 points.
There's one mention of number 11, I think, to create maybe a statewide standard of securing your firearm or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be a suggestion, not anything enforceable by law.
Correct. As far as I know, unless that's been amended, I haven't looked at it since it's been amended, but as the call goes right now, there's no mention in the 18 points for red flag.
Is there any chance, Kip, that with that law, piggybacking on what David's talking about, that there can be civil penalties if something was to happen where somebody's firearm would be stolen.
There's always a chance.
It would help. It would help in civil court for sure.
It
Always a
In a way,
chance.
it would help.
But again, that would be determined on how that's carried, if it goes through committee, what it looks like when it gets out, even if it gets through committee.
Right.
So, and then you also got the what was it, the lifetime bill? We were just talking about it. The lifetime. Anybody, help me out here.
Restraining order.
For stalking and stuff like that. I don't know what that looks like yet. That's just a whole separate deal. So that's why we have to go through the committee system to look at that as well. Lifetime protection orders. That's what it was. Bam, bam. Yeah. So we've adjusted that. I guess they have. I won't say weeks. I wasn't in that conversation, but yes, sir.
So what in this repertoire of stuff that you guys are going to be sorting through was so important that it couldn't have been put off till the next regular session?
Good question. I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And even Paige Wally's, he actually said that he didn't think that there was any reason to have this called based upon the bills that they've come out with.
So
I look at this basically as harassment of the legislature.
Yes.
Just costing us
There you
more money, costing us more time.
Exactly. And I'm wondering, is that not stepping over a line for a governor to harass the legislature in such a manner?
he has the constitutional authority to call us in whenever he wants to, according to the Constitution.
About the turnout, what we've seen protesters, I thought it was pretty weak.
It was.
I feel like
it was more y'all than there was.
There was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah.
Lewis
Absolutely.
County, Wayne
Yeah, good
County,
job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Give y'all a round of applause. And thank y'all. Yeah.
They didn't want to video us, but I literally
Of course
counted
not.
at one time there were 22 people stand up.
Mhm.
I think Tommy Lee was one of them.
Yeah, number 23.
He's never gonna live that.
Lord.
22 people standing up.
He just loves everybody.
That's
Or
right.
in the news media, it was just, they couldn't
They
get
just-
enough pictures
right.
of it. It was
That's all
almost
we'll
disgusting.
see.
Yeah.
It was almost
It was disgusting, but since we're on Facebook Live and everything, I got to tell Tommy couldn't hear. He thought we were doing a stand up of silence or something. So,
I thought we were praying for
yeah, Tommy's all about praying. When it comes time to pray, that's the man I want praying for me.
That's right.
That's
exactly right.
Hey,
I want real quick. If the lady in the front has a red shirt, don't stand with her.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's
There
what I
you
had
go.
to garnish Chuck on. Sit down.
Oh yeah, Chuck stood up too.
Yeah, I had to
Oh,
get him to
Lord.
sit down. But Brandon, I wanted to coattail with you. You know, we have worked, Lawrence and you and I and other counties have worked hard. We're
Y'all have.
represented by 12 counties.
Absolutely.
here. And I'm proud of the
You
turnout.
should be.
And I'm proud of Lawrence County.
Amen.
Y'all just shut the courthouse down, didn't
We
you?
did.
Y'all brought the whole brew crew.
Absolutely.
That's what Lawrence County.
We did.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you
They
something.
tried that in a small town. See,
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. Hey, I'm going to tell our people that are listening right now, we have some of the best God-fearing representatives in all the state right here, including Kip, including Clay Doggett. But, we have our county executive here, David
Right.
Morgan. We have our clerk, our court of the clerk, Tommy Lee. Where's our circuit clerk?
County clerk.
Hey,
There's Russ back there.
I got Russ Brewer here. We got Brady, our tax assessor. We have David Ray. We have Tammy Wisdom.
Yep.
Hey, these are our representatives.
Travis Caldwell.
Don't forget about
Absolutely.
Travis.
Where's Travis at?
You can't miss him.
He's watching our back out there.
Is he watching our back?
He's chasing that play dog.
So I'm going to tell you, everybody that's watching this, in Waynesboro and also in WDXC.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, this right here is awesome. This is how our government came here and represented us. We came here to back our government, but then our government also came and they showed.
Oh, yeah.
And they said,
Yeah.
they were shouting, "This is democracy."
Yeah.
No, what you see here
Is
and what we
democracy.
did was democracy.
Absolutely.
Come on in, Paige.
Paige Wally,
Yeah,
everybody.
Paige Wally.
God bless you.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, we're on live.
We got you on live page. I got a microphone. I didn't know. I knew y'all had adjourned, but I didn't know what had become of everybody. And then
Oh, you just
Dave
kinda
showed
huddled
up.
around.
Hey, we're trying to figure out why the Senate had the air turned off in the house.
We just wanted to move them along. You know, that encourages people to get that business done in a hurry.
Needed
It works.
It does. Well, thank y'all so much for being here, and I hope I really appreciate you getting up there and hey,
How you doing, bro?
Mayor, good to see you.
You too.
Executive, you don't call you Mayor. No, okay.
We're
Uh,
constitutionalists. Let's say executive.
Well, I appreciate y'all being up in the gallery and appreciate the prayer. I think it worked. So, and I didn't expect anything less. But I just want to tell you, you know, as you know, and I don't want to interrupt. I'm going to be quiet till you're.
We're wide open. You go ahead.
Yeah.
We're good.
He just opened the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, from when we met earlier today and did our live stream, I told you things are constantly moving. What I believe is going to happen now, based upon y'all deciding to adjourn until Thursday, is they're going to be, I think, 3 bills is all that's going to get out of the Senate committees. And all of them are, you know, 2 of them are fairly innocuous. I think the third one probably is, but there are 3 of the ones the governor had proposed. One of them has to do with just codifying the requirement that the TBI receive information from courts in a timely manner. I don't think anybody had any objections about that. Another one has to do with information on human trafficking, and I've got a press conference at noon over in the old Supreme Court building, you know, because I don't know if any of y'all have seen The Sound of Freedom, but that's real important to me. I'm you know, child and family services and counseling. I've got a daughter that's really invested in this work on trafficking, so we got a trafficking conference. And then the third bill is the one that removes sales tax and from trigger locks and storage safes and that kind of thing. There is one component of it I'm a little uncomfortable with, and so y'all can give me some thoughts on it, but it has to do with public service announcements about encouraging people to use trigger locks and whatnot. That sounds good, probably is good, but one of the things I want to make sure of is it doesn't inadvertently put people in a position where you can be sued for some reason. Someone breaks into your house, you don't have a trigger lock on your gun, they take it, hold someone up, shoot somebody, and someone sues you saying, well, they should have had a trigger lock, they should have known because we got all this PSAs that are informing you about what to do. So I don't know yet. I want to make sure that we get that worked out. But that's the only one that's kind of fuzzy.
I got a question for you on that. How much does those public service announcements cost the taxpayers?
I don't know yet. So that's part of what we haven't seen is I'm on the finance committee. We haven't seen a fiscal note on it. So it would, obviously there's some cost, but I don't know what it is. You know, we have public service announcements on a variety of things from seat belts to whatever. But those are the only 3 bills that I'm, you know, being informed. I'm the vice chair of state and local government. My chairman came and told me we got 3 bills that we're going to work through in the Senate, and that's it.
Is there any way to amend or shut down that one? Because I tell you, to me, when you're starting to put things out, when it comes to the guns, and if you have your gun stolen and somebody may be held liable in civil, to me, I think that's dangerous. I mean, what happens if we have our car stolen? You know, the criminal gets away with it, but the victim gets punished.
Yeah. So we're going to ask a lot of questions about this and make sure there's some kind of indemnification if it's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be in our Judiciary Committee, which meets this afternoon starting at 2.
Yeah.
And so if it's going to be taken up, and they might change their mind on it, but the 2 that are fairly, you know, easy that everybody says, oh yeah, that's fine, you know, on trafficking and the courts getting timely information to the TBI so they can do investigations. I don't think we're going to have any concerns about that.
If I can make a point on the PSAs, my concern is that the PSAs continue to heighten gun confiscation or gun issues in the mind of the public. The other side is continually incrementing everything in a direction. And PSAs, talking about gun locks and other things at the house, can be one of those incremental steps. And then the next thing, they want to put something on top of that and something on top of that.
I'll try to. Well,
So a foot in the door kind of thing. I understand.
Exactly.
But anyway, I just wanted to let you know what the latest is. And everything is kind of fluid. I don't know where the House's position is on any of these bills, but I just had a House member as I was walking down the hall, stopped me and said, "I've heard the Senate is going to only do these 3, and that'll be helpful because that'll kind of shut down, because there are however many there are, 120, 140,
narrow it down,
something.
bottleneck it pretty
Yeah, so it's going to choke it off.
Yeah. So a silver lining that I see here is, yeah, the special session got called, and maybe that wasn't necessary, but we got better decorum rules in the House passed, right? So people can't come in there with bullhorns and make a fool out of our state legislature.
Yeah.
And then we're going to lower taxes. Taxes are coming off of potentially purchasing of firearm adaptations and things that we used to secure.
And that could be the thing about the taxes, though. It's the same bill as the PSA, so you might get both. So we might have to separate them out. I don't know. We're just going to have to study that. But you're right. I was just talking to somebody, and I've shared with y'all on the show that we had last week, and then this morning too. I would prefer we not have the special session. I don't think we needed to. The governor has the right to call it. I'm a person, just like you all are. I think Christian folks like y'all and me, we pray for our leaders. We don't always agree with our leaders. And I don't want to humiliate or embarrass the governor either. I mean, we're going to be working with him, and we should work with him over the next few years while his term is completed. So we're going to say, the governor, what you proposed, here's what we think we can do in this special session. Other things can be left to regular session beginning in January. So here are these 2 or 3 bills that we'll do something with. And that's just on the Senate side. I don't know what y'all are going to do.
I haven't heard much. We just came straight from the floor over here, so I hadn't heard much coming down.
But I really appreciate y'all. And when I introduced you today, I hope you heard me say, they've come to participate in their government and their Senate. And that's what you do. That's who you are. And I'm just, the one that gets to stand there on the floor and do it. So, but it's us in this.
One question I have both for you and Kip. With a lot of these bills that are now sitting that are not even going to be seen or heard, what about when it comes down to the regular session coming in January? Do you see any of these harmful bills that have been written now that may come back up to surface at that time?
Well, they'll all die here at the special session, so they can be reintroduced, but they don't carry over.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to, reintroduce something, they can. But when you hear us adjourn, there's this Latin term, adjourn sine die, and I can't tell you the exact translation, but basically it means, for good. Yeah. We're not adjourning for the day, we're adjourning for the, this session. It's done and gone. Everything goes with it.
Right. But they can reintroduce the bills, but these bills are still out there, and people have worked on them.
People can work on them, and they can say, yeah, I'll just reintroduce it in the regular session. They can do that. This next regular session in January is going to be, the second year of a regular session. Actually is 2 years long. So the first year was this year. Right. Next year will be the second year. So the bills that weren't heard during the first session, they're still alive. They're still out there and can be heard in the next session. And then you can add to them too. So that's what could happen.
So we had a lot of good bills that really got killed that would actually increase our Second Amendment rights. Do you see some of those bills maybe passing? Because there's some of them that were really close to passing, and then we had the shooting, and then we had emotions getting in the way.
They could be. They're still sitting there dormant, waiting to be reactivated if people wish. They just say, I want my bill heard. The term we use is put on notice in the committee to be heard. So that could happen. You're right. There were several in our Judiciary Committee. I'm not sure where they're heard on the House side, but most of the firearm bills are heard in Judiciary Committee on the Senate side.
Yeah, they'll be in civil.
So are we going to, and I don't mean to pick on you guys, but you're both here. Mm-hmm. Are we going to have the fortitude to try to get these things passed now, even with what has happened with emotions running high?
To my understanding, I mean, we had full-blown constitutional carry ready to rock and roll through civil full this past session, and then of course we had the tragedy in Nashville, and that kind of put a stop to it. And to my understanding, it was rolling in both chambers. Now we'll have to see how that goes.
I think, and I believe John Stevens might have been the senator that had that. I'm not 100% sure.
I think you're right.
I don't know, but I imagine, I don't know if the demeanor will be, let's go right back where we were, before this, or if it'll be, slow walking. I don't know. I just haven't had any conversation about that at all.
My question is, has there been any talk about the shooter's manifesto that's never been released?
Yeah.
And is there anybody putting any pressure on the local government in Nashville to get that released, or is there any status on that, or can you guys do anything, or can you just put pressure, or just ask?
As of right now, I think both chambers have asked. I know in some capacity, and some members have seen it, but to my recent understanding, there's been an injunction filed in court. Tommy Lee helped me out. Did I say that right? Was it an injunction to stop it from the public seeing it?
that's correct.
So that's been filed, so it's hung up in court right now.
I think some family members have done that,
Right.
so it's hung up, and we haven't been able to make it available to the public. But I hope it'll be worked through by the time we get to January.
That's the status on that. It's hung up in court.
When you were talking about the last one about protecting your weapon, somewhere I had heard that more weapons are missing from government agencies.
That could be.
So would they be responsible for their weapons?
I would assume,
misused?
I would assume they could be, if they didn't protect theirs, that someone could say that too, would make a case anyway.
Do as I say, not as I do.
And they probably have some kind of civil immunity, but who knows,
I had heard that Fish and Wildlife is
Yeah.
losing them.
But that's kind of the latest and greatest from what I know from the Senate side.
Yep.
And so
I
I
think
think
we're talking about our federal government, Afghanistan, Fast and Furious, we've seen all that, but I'm pretty confident right now, as we stand right this second in our state government.
I want to say thank you for providing us a room where
course.
we can come in and
Yes.
sit down. And,
Absolutely.
and we can
And
have
lunch,
a little
like-
break. And
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
great. And it's been awesome. I'm going to try to encourage the Republican parties, especially in the leadership, the chairman, and secretaries, such like we have a director as well. I'm going to try to get them to come back up here at least once during every session,
Sure.
and just during
Love to have
regular
you on that.
session,
Yeah.
and be a part. We need to be more involved with what's going on. You all
Absolutely.
need the support, and
We do.
we need to know who
Well,
you
it's
are.
nice to
Well, let me tell you what some counties do and really endear themselves to us, and you can do it as a group. They come up and we have one county, Warren County does bologna and cheese day.
Oh, man.
One does hamburger day. So they come up and they just have a little cookout, but it gets all the members and
Sure.
staff, and you build relationships that way. And it sounds, maybe a little odd, but you don't have to do that, but it's just an idea.
No.
That's why we have West End Community Center breakfasts.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what I forgot to mention today was West Side. Yeah, that's great. Hey, you might have already done this, but if you have, could I figure out how to bunch us together and get a photo of everybody?
Yeah. Get everybody out in the hall and just
We can do it out in
come
the
on.
hall, or we can.
Hey,
Oh, get them in here.
Hey, this is wider than the hall. Why don't everybody line up over here?
Yeah.
And then
Okay, we'll
Come on.
do that.
Yeah,
We're about to get a picture.
Come on.
Because now we get to grill Joey Hensley next.
Joey Hensley just
And
walked.
There he is.
That's right.
Snuck in. He sneaks in
Barry,
over
where
here.
are you?
There you go.
Barry.
Would you mind taking a picture of this crowd with all of us in here? All right, we're going to see if we can figure it out. So let's get
Put the ladies.
go ahead.
Everybody in the hall, too. Come on.
Ladies in the front, ladies in the front, and the vertically challenged in the front.
Tammy, come on. Everybody.
That's gonna be
Barry might take it. Barry
We're
might
gonna try
take
to
it
get
from the
everybody in
door.
here.
Barry might take it from the door.
There from the corner.
Yeah, you may have to get in the door and.
Come on, Tom. Come on and get in here.
Pass that around.
No, I'm passing.
Lawrence, pass that around to the lady figure it out.
We'll slide down this way. Hold on, Barry. We can slide them this way and get everybody in here.
Marilyn's out there. Marilyn and her son.
Marilyn says she's
Come on,
okay.
there. Come on, hey,
I'm
Marilyn.
just gonna lay on the table there and just pose like this.
Let's make sure you can see everybody, Barry.
It was only a traffic ticket, Marilyn.
Come on down. Let's squeeze this way.
Russ, there you go, Russ.
There you go. We'll sit Russ down. He's too tall.
Or sit by Bobby Lee over here.
Oh, you want me to take a picture?
No.
Oh, we're not live streaming anymore?
Well, how about a video?
Okay.
I got them all, but it's been distant.
Might have to get that back here by Barry. Good deal.
All right,
Awesome.
thank
Hey, let me mention one other thing, if you don't mind, and several of you from Lawrence and Wayne County know this. I've got a big free whoop-de-doo down at Pickwick Landing State Park on October the 7th. Tennessee does not play ball that day, so nobody has to worry about that. It'll be from 5 until 8:30. It's a big feed. We got shrimp, catfish, alligator, Bayou Fest. It's a kind of, we got a band, a Cajun Zydeco band dancing and all this. It's just come one, come all. So feel free to come down. You can bring kids too. There's nothing that wouldn't allow kids to be there. Yeah. October 7th.
I went last year with a good time.
And it's on my website. It's on my Facebook site.
Clay Doggett, everybody. Clay Doggett. Yeah.
All right, I gotta find Barry's got my phone.
Get over here, Rob.
Joey, I might give you this microphone. They might want you to talk. That's for their live stream.
Come on, got come all the way down.
Chairmanship? I'll tell you just a minute.
Did you want to speak? Clay, did you want to say something? Did you want to talk?
Not really.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No,
Hang on to that.
Paige, you gotta get in here with us. Okay, get in here with us. Yeah, we're gonna take another picture.
We're gonna take a picture right now?
Yeah, come on, cause you're in here. We missed you.
Okay.
People can see that blue. Yeah.
Squeeze back
Come
in.
on in, Tommy. Come on, Tommy.
Everybody squeeze back in again.
Move this way. Move on down.
Come on, Joey, you gotta get in.
Can't get back in here. There's roots. There's roots.
Stand up on there. There you go.
What are you doing out there,
Press
Russ?
up on my shoulder.
We lean on you guys.
There you go.
We're live streaming this back to WDXC right now.
Awesome.
Good looking bunch. Middle Tennessee conservative folks right here.
That's right.
This is democracy.
That's right.
God bless the state of Tennessee.
You very coordinated your outfits, looks like.
Sure did.
That's Lawrence County right there.
Brother from another mother. There you go.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
What time's your hearing?
My committee starts at 3 o'clock today. I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for coming up here today. It's an amazing feeling when you can look up and see familiar faces in the crowd, especially when you have folks that are being bussed in here from other places across the country, and I can look up there and see my friends from Lawrence County, and it's really it's very much appreciated. I'll say that.
Giles too.
Yep, and well,
Yeah, and Wayne.
You got 12 counties.
Yeah.
we're gonna throw him out because
We-
throw you out. You got to go.
You in that Matlock suit.
Yeah, well. But no, thank y'all so much for coming, and it, like I said, just seeing familiar faces really helps a whole lot. And there was 102 bills that were filed, and I know that for some of you this may have been your first time to come into the Capitol. For some of you that have been here before, you might have been your first special session you've ever seen. And so things move pretty quick. We made some rule changes last night to help expedite the process. General timeline for bills that are introduced, it takes 5 to 6 weeks for that bill to get back to the floor. These bills will be on the floor that pass out of the committees on Thursday afternoon. I don't think there's going to be many bills that make it to the floor on Thursday afternoon. So we've got our work cut out for us today. I have the great privilege of chairing the Criminal Justice Subcommittee. And so we've got 33 bills in that committee that'll be heard today at 3 o'clock. The Senate Judiciary meets at 2 o'clock. If the Senate Judiciary only passes 10 bills, then those will be the only 10 bills that we'll take up in the House. In criminal sub today, we won't take up any more than that because the other remaining bills won't be considered on the floor. So we're trying to be as efficient with our time as possible. But we're going to make sure, I promise you, we're going to make sure that we work hard to protect your rights and your freedoms while we're here this week. That's the most important thing. Really and truly, there's nothing extraordinary about this session, I will say that. This is just extra. This is just extra session right here. And I think that everything that had been filed and introduced could have waited until January when we came back into session. But instead, here we are. So we're going to go to work and go to battle for you. And if I can do anything for you, please don't hesitate to let us know. Yes, thank y'all.
Yeah.
Joe, do you encourage us to stay for the rest of the day and the rest of the week?
If you feel compelled to do so, sure. You know, if you've never seen the committee process, today you will have a chance to sit in and see the committees. You'll be able to watch us go through these bills. You know, tomorrow the full committees on the House side will be meeting. The Senate, they only have one. They don't have subcommittees in the Senate, so their committees that meet today will be, once it leaves that committee is finished. But in the House, the subcommittees today will go through these bills. Whatever passes the sub will go on to the full committees tomorrow. But 99% of the debate will happen today in these committees. So if you want to stick around today and see the committee process, a rarity in the House, generally you have to have 24 hours notice if you want to testify against or in support of legislation. But because we're in special session, all you have to do is let the chairman know prior to the committee starting that you would like to voice your opinion on what's being proposed. So if that's something that you feel like you want to do, you'll have that opportunity to do so today and be able to express your thoughts.
Do those same rules apply in the Senate committees?
Joey could answer that.
Yes, people can testify. Normally have to be put on the list to testify, but today it will be different. But I just like to add, I mean, Clay covered it very well, and I'd just like to add thank you very much for all of you coming today. I know that you took a day off, and it's hard coming to the Capitol and spending all this time up here, but we really, really appreciate it. And Murray and Lawrence and Giles County are really very well represented up here, and we certainly appreciate it. And just to add a little bit to what Clay said, this is a little bit anticlimactic, I think. We were expecting a lot to happen, but looks like the only thing that's going to pass is just 3 bills, the governor's 3 bills, and the other bills in the Senate are pretty much going to be put off until next year. So we will have a Judiciary Committee meet today. They're going to hear mainly the governor's 3 bills, which are the 72-hour time period for clerks to report to the TBI when someone is convicted, and TBI has to do a yearly report about child trafficking and put that into law, and put into law about 72 hours. The first bill, it's already executive order by the governor, but he wants to put it into law, which is certainly fine, and require TBI to have an annual child trafficking report, and to take the sales tax off of gun safes and make gun locks free to people. We certainly support that. So that looks like that's the only thing that's going to pass. And the governor, even after calling this special session and calling us up here and having his red flag law and all the gun control talk, it certainly does not look like we're going to pass any of that. And Clay and Paige and Kip and all of us from Southern Middle Tennessee did not support any of those things. We supported adjourning the session. We all tried to tell the governor that we didn't even need this special session. Anything that we needed could wait till January. And certainly he's shown that by the only bills that are going to pass could have certainly waited till January, and some of them we do already, the reporting, and that's already required. Certainly we support taking the sales tax off of gun safes and making that permanent. And so we will do that. And of course we have to have the funding for that. But the Senate committees, and like Clay said, we only have full committees. Commerce already met and just adjourned. They just had one bill in there, but they adjourned. But that's really the plan for the other committees, except for the Judiciary Committee today, and then Finance tomorrow. We will still have to finance this session and pass financial bills. But there's a lot of good bills that were filed, but they can all wait till January. And so that looks like what we're going to do. But certainly appreciate y'all coming, and it is a good thing for the ones that haven't been to the Capitol or see how things work. This is the way things work. They don't always work like we plan. We have schedules, and the House just had their schedule come out. We had a schedule yesterday, but it's been changed. But all of the committees that they're still in the Senate, they'll still meet as scheduled, but it doesn't look like we're going to take up any bills. But certainly watching how things work and being here is a good thing to do. So thank you all for coming, and certainly stay all day. And anything we can do to help Clay and Kilp or any of us, always feel free. And Paige, feel free to call.
It might be a dumb question, but it just dawned on me that maybe was the special session called by the governor a flex to see who bucks, basically, or is that just dumb thinking on my part?
I think the governor really wanted to do something, and of course he filed the Extreme Protection Act back before session ended. He really wanted us to deal with that. And the governor, of course, he had some close a relationship with with one of the people that was killed at the school, and his wife. Certainly that was one of her friends, and the governor did want to do something. Of course, we don't think that gun control or red flag laws is the thing to do anyway. And the governor did believe in that. So he called this session. I think he was really towards the end wishing that he hadn't called the session, but was kind of in too deep to get out of it.
The problem was taken care of that day, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
Well, what? Yes. Well, yes.
14 minutes.
Yes, and so there's things we had already done last session about making schools safer, SROs in all the schools, gun protective glass on new schools, and more cameras, and making sure the doors are locked, and trying to do all we can. But certainly gun control is not the answer. Red flag laws is not the answer. None of those would have stopped that shooting. No. So, we disagreed with the governor. The governor, I think, has done a lot of good things, but I don't always agree with him. Clay doesn't always agree with him. Kilp doesn't. We certainly didn't agree on that point, and just really felt like this special session was not necessary. Mayor.
One question. During this time, could we not look at having SRO officers maybe even expanded, in our public schools? There's a lot of private schools.
Right.
In Washington, we have 3 different private schools. Those are tax-paying citizens that are not taking advantage of the educational side of their taxes.
Oh, yeah.
For private school education. There's even consideration to think about it from a county level too, like should we provide protection in those schools?
Right.
So,
Senator, if I could jump in on that, there has been a bill filed, I know, by Gino Bulso from Williamson County that's going to update the code right now to allow private schools to have their own carry policies. So while we might not get SRO,
yeah. They can do that now. Private schools can already have that policy, and actually, I have that bill with Gino.
There you go. Also.
That would expand it. Now it's just K through 12. It would expand it to
that's right.
Pre-K through 12. Those schools can already have a policy to allow teachers to carry guns on those campuses. And we did put some money in the budget, $14 million, that private schools can use to help upgrade their schools. But we don't require them to have SROs, but certainly we put some funding in the budget last year that private schools can use. And I'm certainly all for us doing more for private schools, because you're exactly right. Every parent that puts their child in a private school is one less child that the state has to pay for. So we should allow those parents to to have tax benefits or credits or put more money into those private schools and homeschool students too. So
Yeah, six
but
or
we-
seven children would pay the salary of an SRO.
Oh, sure,
The state gets
sure.
6 or 7 children that would pay SRO
Yeah.
salary in Orange County. So the schools are fairly large.
And I'm certainly all for looking at that, and we can do that in the next session. And I think that will be one of the things that we look at doing.
Thank you for the SRO funding. From the county government standpoint, that's a huge blessing
Yeah.
for our county, for all of y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Butler's just walked in. He is my seatmate from East Tennessee. He's a raging Democrat, so y'all be nice to him. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He's a good Republican. Just wanted to introduce him to y'all as well. He's my seatmate, good guy, good Republican from East Tennessee. He thinks like we do.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
But any other questions anybody has?
Yeah, I do have another question. Is, you know, we feel like all the counties that are here represented, that we've been in here battling along with you guys. You
Right.
know,
Yes,
with
you
gun
have.
control. Do you see this going away with what's happening, or are we going to have to just keep battling each session and keep doing that?
Well, I think there will always be the other side that pushes gun control. And I think that will be something that we have to be vigilant about and watch it, because some people believe that's the answer. You know, taking guns from everybody, making it harder to get guns, making it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. There are people that want to limit that, and then other people, I believe we need fewer gun-free zones. We need to allow people to defend themselves no matter where they go.
Right. Amen.
So we need to work on doing away with a lot of the gun-free zones, and other people just have different beliefs. So we need to make sure we have a majority up here to prevent that.
Well, and that's what me and Brandon, we've been preaching on this. You know, everybody's like, oh, well, it looks like this is over. But it's not over.
It's not over.
We're going to have to keep fighting this every year. We're going to have to keep fighting, and we're going to have to keep together, and we're going to have to expand our network. And just like these guys, you know, I want to tell you something, and I think you guys felt this. We had our county show up, and it almost looked like we had more people here than the protesters that were busting
Right.
them out of state.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
Get the media attention though.
No,
Man, you, oh, yeah.
People standing up.
Absolutely.
We had almost as many.
23, don't forget Tommy.
Wait just a minute. You made a good point. We've got super majorities all the way across the board here. We need to act like it.
Yeah.
So we need to stand up and do the right thing. And, you know, it's just like this closed primary bill that I carried from the SEC. I don't know why we can't get that passed in the House and the Senate. It needs to happen. We need to close these primaries.
You know what? That's something else that we do need to look at and start thinking about as close primaries. I agree with that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rusty Grills from West Tennessee, another raging Democrat, is here with us.
You're on the other end of the room. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. He's over there.
Yes, can I throw one
I was
more
looking
thing
for
out?
somewhere to eat.
As we're talking about the push for gun control going on into the future, we've got two layers. We've got what goes on in the state of Tennessee, and we've got what goes on in the federal government.
Right.
Are there ways that Tennessee can isolate itself from the impact of some of the gun control stuff that is likely to come out of Washington?
Nullification.
Yep.
Notification's a big one now. We've taken steps in the past to carry, Joey and I had a bill about firearm registries. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I guess it was, that we passed it, signed into law, that the state cannot have any kind of registry for firearms. And that was out of anticipation that the feds are going to come down and want to know who's got what.
Right.
So we had another rep that carried one, if you're familiar with HIPAA, for health records and purposes, your information can never be shared, you know, and that's protected. It's called FIPA, which is firearm, whatever the IPPA means for the rest of it, that he carried the same time that we had our no registry bill. So the state cannot transmit any information of firearm ownership to the federal government. So
What about the credit card companies that are tracking purchases at firearms? Is there anything in the pipeline for that, Tennessee?
Gosh.
Or is that a federal thing?
That's a federal thing, but we will certainly look at what we can do in Tennessee to prevent that. you know, and the ESG that's going on with companies. And we're looking at trying to, we've already prevented our treasurer from using that for investments in Tennessee, but that's another issue goes on at the federal level, and gun control, the ESG, the woke philosophy, and so much going on in our schools, and we're trying in Tennessee to prevent a lot of that, and so we will keep working on trying to do it.
What you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. It's our honor to do it. We're humbled that so many people came up here today. So thank you all for coming.
This is just the beginning. We're just getting started.
Well, that's the way government should work. You know, we are your representatives up here, and we are here supporting you.
One last question.
So thank you. Yes.
Regarding the Covenant shooter, there was I read a report about the toxicology report. But they had all the usual suspects like opiates and narcotics and SSRIs, whatever they are, but there's nothing to do with drugs she might have been taking for sex change. Hormones.
Right. Testosterone, probably.
Testosterone.
Yeah.
And I know that they're known to cause range in people.
Sure.
Is there a way to get some kind of law in the books that would require these types of tests?
Oh yeah, it certainly is, and normally and being a doctor myself and doing death certificates and ordering these things, normally you don't order every drug, but and testosterone is a normal substance, and even women have some testosterone, but certainly not at the level she would have had for the transition, and that does increase rage and does do a lot of things to people. So that probably had some influence, but that was one thing that, and we still need the whole manifesto. We haven't seen it. We need to see what she was talking about in writing and what led up to this, and plus all the drugs in her system, and we still haven't seen it. So, you know, going forward, but yes, we can certainly look at legislation that would require that.
They would at least put a limit on, at least some kind of type of cautions on prescribing testosterone, getting and stopping damaging these women.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah.
Right back.
So you know, there's so much that's going on, and it's happening. Well, we've already passed bills to prevent biological males from playing on female sports teams in Tennessee. Bill I had and Scott Zapecki sponsored. So Tennessee already doesn't allow that. But there's so much going on in the schools, and when they're asking kindergartners and first graders what gender they are, and telling them that they have a choice about their gender, and we just have to stop all of that. It's ridiculous, and it's adding to our children's issues. So just follow the science. That's right. God created male and female, and that's what He meant for us to be, and we are what we are. So, any more questions or comments or?
Oh yeah, somebody brought it up a little bit about the gun trigger safe.
Right.
Isn't that allowing a door to open for further regulations on guns?
Well, everything can be added to or taken away in the future, but this is just allowing people to get a free gun lock if they choose to.
We've done this in the past. We've had the sales tax holidays on safes.
Right.
In the past, just in the recent 2 years. And
2 years we did.
So what if I elect not to get one and my gun is stolen?
It doesn't have an effect on it.
It doesn't have an effect. We are not going to put a penalty on somebody allowing their gun to be stolen.
These trigger locks, the trigger locks you're asking about, the Department of Safety had a grant a few years ago where they were putting them out with troopers. So if you wanted one, a trooper would give you a trigger lock to put for storage of firearms safely, in your home or wherever.
Yeah.
But that's what they're looking to do, is get more of those and pass them out with this law.
I don't want to change it, but I have one on my gun, but it was my choice.
Sure, it would be your choice too. It's all this bill does is make it available.
Yep.
Yeah. I would just say, including that bill, is the one that was the Senate bill, I think, that was including funding for the PSAs for that and promoting people to get that.
if we're going to do that, the caution that we would have would be limit or prohibit liability for people that don't get one. In other words, somebody could sue us and say your gun was stolen and killed my relative, and you heard thousands of PSAs saying you should have had this and you didn't. So.
Well, that's a thought. So yes, we certainly
you have to
do.
prove. You'd have to prove that they saw those. Some people don't watch TV. I don't watch TV.
Could just be some language there that the increased availability and awareness campaign does not create a liability.
Create a liability. Yeah.
It's not a law.
We need to look at that and make sure that's on there. But anyway, thank y'all, everybody.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Did you need to go?
I was calling you to let you know what was happening about. I was going to let you know.